paradrama tales.
He offered $10,000 to his sister without telling me. Our savings, our future given away in secret. I trusted him to manage our money. But this wasn't just a financial decision. It was a betrayal. When the person you love keeps secrets like this, how do you rebuild trust? When we started our life together, it felt like we were a team. Married for 4 years, but together for 10, we'd built something solid, 2 careers, good salaries, and a house we called our own. We weren't just partners in love. We were partners in life, especially when it came to money. We combined our finances, completely trusting each other implicitly. I still had about $60,000 in student loans, but with low interest rates, I was managing fine. Together, we had about $40,000 in savings money we carefully put aside for emergencies, for a future family, for the unexpected. I trusted him to handle the money because I preferred not to deal with numbers. He managed 99% of the finances, but we agreed we would consult each other before any major purchases or decisions. That was the foundation of our trust. For years, that system worked. I'd transfer him my portion of bills, and he'd take care of everything else. We planned vacations, discussed goals, and saved for what mattered. I thought money was no secret between us. It was part of the partnership we built. But then, one Saturday morning, I noticed his phone lighting up with text messages. Curious, I glanced over and saw conversations with his sister. My heart sank when I read he had offered her $10,000 for a down payment on a New York City apartment without telling me. That money wasn't just his, it was ours. Our savings, our safety net, our shared future. It felt like the rules we had agreed on didn't apply anymore. It shook the foundation of trust I had in him. I felt blindsided, confused, and frankly betrayed. How could he make a decision that big without discussing it with me? First, I began to question everything. Did he respect our partnership? Did he respect me? Because without trust, money becomes more than numbers. It becomes a wedge between 2 people who once dreamed together. And that's where our story takes a hard turn, when money stops being just money and starts breaking hearts. It all started on a quiet Saturday morning. I noticed my husband's phone buzzing incessantly, lighting up with messages like I'd never seen before. Usually he's not much of a texter, so something felt off. Out of curiosity and because we trust each other enough to share phones, I picked it up to see what was going on. As I scrolled through the messages, my heart sank. There they were, texts between him and his sister, discussing money, specifically an offer he made to give her $10,000 for her down payment on a tiny apartment in New York City. What hit me hardest wasn't just the amount, it was that this was our money from our combined savings, and he hadn't even told me. Reading those messages felt like reading a story I wasn't supposed to be part of. They talked about the money casually, as if it were his alone to give away, not something that belonged to both of us equally. And he had already told his sister he would give it to her without mentioning it to me. My mind raced. How could he think I wouldn't notice? How could he believe that such a huge decision was just a detail he could keep from me? $10,000 isn't a small detail. It's a life-changing amount. It could pay down debts, add to our emergency fund, or help us prepare for starting a family. I sat there frozen and furious, realizing that trust, something I thought we had built for years, was suddenly fractured. It wasn't about money anymore. It was about respect, partnership, and honesty. When he left his phone unattended, I didn't expect to find a betrayal waiting for me. But here it was, plain and undeniable. I knew I had to confront him, but I also knew it wouldn't be easy. How do you talk to the person you love when you feel so deeply hurt? That morning changed everything. It was the moment I understood that some secrets don't stay hidden. They erupt, shaking everything you thought was steady. And it was just the beginning of a journey neither of us wanted, but both had to face. For years, I believed that our money truly meant ours. We combined our finances because that's what partners do. They build a life together, sharing responsibilities and dreams. I trusted him with the finances because I believed he would always consult me on major decisions. But suddenly, that trust felt like a fragile illusion. When I confronted him about the $10,000 gift, his response stunned me. He admitted he didn't plan to tell me. He said he figured I wouldn't notice, and even worse, he thought I wouldn't care about the details. Those words cut deeper than the money ever could. It wasn't just about the $10,000, it was about feeling sidelined in a marriage where we promised to be equals. Hearing him say the money was a detail made me realize something crucial to him. It wasn't our money. It was his money to do with as he pleased. and the details were just things to sweep under the rug. This isn't uncommon in relationships where one partner controls the finances. Sometimes money becomes power, and decisions are made unilaterally, leaving the other partner feeling invisible, powerless, and betrayed. It's not just about dollars, it's about respect and partnership. I told him firmly that $10,000 is not a detail. It's a significant amount that affects both our lives and goals. When you share money, you share the responsibility to communicate to make decisions together. Skipping that step breaks the foundation of trust. What hurt most was the assumption that I wouldn't care or notice. It wasn't just money, it was the dismissal of my voice in our marriage. I handed over control because I trusted him, but trust requires respect, and respect requires openness. That moment was a wake-up call. It showed me that financial trust isn't automatic. It's earned every day through transparency and partnership. Without that, money stops being a tool for building a future and becomes a wedge driving us apart. This experience made me question everything I thought I knew about sharing a life and a bank account with someone you love. Because when our money feels like his money, the damage runs deeper than any dollar amount. The moment I confronted him, I thought it would be a calm conversation, a chance to clear the air to understand why he made such a huge decision without telling me. But what unfolded was far more painful than I imagined. I sat him down, my heart pounding, holding the phone with the messages in my hand. I asked quietly but firmly, "Did you really offer our savings $10,000 to your sister without talking to me first?" He didn't deny it. Instead, he looked away and admitted, "Yes, I did. I just didn't think it was necessary to tell you." Hearing those words felt like a knife twisting inside me. How could he decide something so huge, something that affects both of us, and not even bring me into the conversation? I reminded him that we agreed on consulting each other about major purchases or gifts, especially with our combined accounts. His response, a shrug, and I thought you wouldn't care about the details. I told him I do care that $10,000 is not just some number to brush aside. It's our hard-earned money, our safety net for the future. The money that's supposed to protect us when life throws curveballs or help us start the family we've been planning. He then said he would tell his sister we weren't giving the money that she would understand. I agreed because I wanted to stop the fight to salvage what we still had. But inside, the betrayal was burning deep. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about trust shattered, about promises broken. That conversation left me numb. I kept replaying his words in my head, the way he assumed I wouldn't notice or care. I kept thinking about the years we built together, the plans we made. And suddenly it felt like those plans didn't include me equally. I wanted to believe this was a one-time mistake, but the truth is that calm confrontation revealed cracks I couldn't ignore. Sometimes the quietest words cause the deepest wounds. And that day I realized rebuilding trust wouldn't be easy. It would take more than just money back or promises made. It would require honesty, respect, and above all, partnership. Money has always carried a weight for me, far beyond its face value. Growing up poor, I learned early that every dollar counted, that it represented security, survival, and a chance at a better life. When I look at our savings now, I don't just see numbers in an account. I see years of sacrifice, hard work, and the promise of a future we dreamed about together. Coming from those roots, $10,000 is not just a sum, it's a significant chunk of what we've built. It could pay off debts, boost our emergency fund, or help us prepare for starting a family. To me, that money isn't something to be casually given away without conversation, especially when it's tied to our shared goals and security. I know my husband comes from a different background, and perhaps money feels different to him. But for me, it's personal. It's the freedom to breathe easier, to plan ahead without fear. It's the cushion that protects us from the unexpected. And when he offered that amount to his sister without even discussing it with me, it felt like a disregard, not just for the money, but for everything that money represents in our lives. I think about all the times I've worried over student loans, balanced budgets, and saved every penny I could. That $10,000 wasn't just his to give, it was ours, a symbol of partnership and shared responsibility. Losing trust in how that money was handled felt like losing a piece of the future we promised each other. This experience taught me that money is about more than wealth. It's about values and respect. It's about understanding where someone comes from and why certain decisions carry weight beyond the dollar amount. For me, $10,000 isn't just money. It's a reflection of my past struggles and the future I want to secure. When financial decisions ignore these deeper meanings, the damage isn't just financial, it's emotional. It shakes the foundation of trust and makes you question whether your partner truly sees you and respects your shared journey. That's why money matters, because behind every dollar lies a story, and ignoring that story risks tearing apart everything you've worked for together. Financial transparency. It sounds like such a simple concept, yet it's one of the hardest things to maintain in any marriage. For us, money was supposed to be the glue that held our partnership together. It was meant to reflect our shared goals, our trust, and our commitment. But when transparency cracks, that glue can turn into a dangerous gap. I always believed that honesty about money was essential. After all, finances aren't just about numbers. They're about power, respect, and security. When one person controls the money without involving the other, it creates an imbalance that seeps into every part of the relationship. It breeds suspicion, resentment, and eventually distance. In our case, my husband managed almost all of our finances. I trusted him completely, and because I preferred to avoid the stress of numbers, I gave him that control willingly. But trusting someone means trusting that they will keep you informed about decisions, especially the big ones. That's where the problem started the moment he decided to offer $10,000 from our joint savings to his sister without telling me. That lack of transparency didn't just leave me out of a financial decision, it left me feeling invisible, disrespected, and hurt. It wasn't the money itself, but the secretiveness that broke the trust we had carefully built. It made me wonder what else was happening behind my back. Financial infidelity is a real thing, and it's more common than people think. It's not just about hiding debts or secret purchases. It's about keeping your partner in the dark on decisions that affect you both. And those secrets erode the foundation of any relationship. Transparency is more than just sharing numbers. It's sharing intentions, concerns, and dreams. It's about creating a safe space where both partners feel heard and valued. Without it, money becomes a weapon instead of a tool, and love becomes strained by silence. Our experience showed me that the health of a marriage can often be measured by the openness of its financial conversations. When transparency thrives, trust grows. When it fades, so does connection. Money isn't just math, it's the language of partnership. And if you're not speaking it honestly, you're building a house on shaky ground. One of the most complicated parts of our situation wasn't just the money, it was the family, specifically his sister. Family dynamics have a way of muddying the clearest waters, especially when money is involved. And this wasn't just about a gift, it was about expectations, loyalties, and boundaries that suddenly felt blurred. His sister has always been close to him. They grew up together, shared memories, and naturally he wants to support her. When she decided to buy a one-bedroom apartment in New York City, a massive step, and undoubtedly a financial challenge, it made sense that he wanted to help. But what didn't make sense to me was how quickly he decided to offer $10,000 from our savings, without consulting me, his wife, and equal partner. Supporting family is admirable, even necessary at times. But when does helping become overstepping? When does generosity turn into betrayal? For me, the line was crossed when decisions affecting our joint finances were made unilaterally and without discussion. I understand family loyalty is powerful. We all want to be there for the people we love. But marriage means creating your own family unit with clear boundaries, especially around money. When those boundaries aren't respected, resentment grows. And it's not just about dollars, it's about feeling prioritized, valued, and heard. His sister might have needed help, but so did I. Our plans for the future, the stability we were working towards, shouldn't be sacrificed without a conversation. I needed him to choose us first, not just financially, but emotionally. Navigating family expectations is tricky. Sometimes what's expected isn't what's fair. And marriage means learning to say no when it matters most, even to those we love. That $10,000 wasn't just a gift to his sister, it was a test of boundaries and respect. And it showed me where our priorities really stood. In the end, love for family and loyalty to your spouse can coexist, but only when there's honesty, respect, and shared decisions. Without that, family can become the wedge that drives a couple apart. After that painful confrontation and the shock of discovering how quickly trust had cracked, I wondered, could it ever be repaired? Can money damage be fixed once it's done? This much harm? I knew that money isn't just about numbers. It's about emotions, security, and above all, trust. And once trust is broken, rebuilding it feels like trying to put together shattered glass. We had to start with honest conversations. No more secrets, no more assumptions. He had to understand how deeply his actions hurt me, not just financially, but emotionally. It wasn't about the $10,000 alone. It was about what the $10,000 represented: a decision made without me, a dismissal of my role in our partnership, and a disregard for our shared future. Rebuilding trust meant rebuilding communication. We set new ground rules about finances. Every major decision had to be discussed and agreed upon. Transparency wasn't optional anymore. It became the foundation we both had to commit to. We started reviewing budgets together, looking at statements side by side, so there were no surprises. It wasn't easy. Old wounds reopened, frustrations flared, and there were moments I doubted if we'd ever fully heal. But slowly, as we kept the lines open and respected each other's voices, a fragile sense of trust began to grow. I also realized that forgiveness was crucial, not to forget what happened, but to release the anger holding us back. Trust isn't rebuilt overnight. It's earned through consistent honesty and respect over time. We even sought counseling because sometimes professional help is needed to untangle the complicated emotions tied to money and love. Could money damage be fixed? Yes, but only if both people are willing to put in the work, not just for their finances, but for their relationship. And in the end, I learned that trust once broken doesn't disappear. It waits patiently to be rebuilt, one honest conversation at a time. If you're facing financial betrayal, remember, healing is possible, but it starts with courage, the courage to talk, to listen, and to rebuild together. Trust is earned, not assumed. That's the lesson I've had to learn the hard way. In a marriage, trust isn't just a feeling, it's a choice we make every day through honesty, respect, and transparency. I thought because we combined our finances and shared a life together, trust was automatic, but it isn't. It has to be nurtured, guarded, and most importantly, communicated. When he offered $10,000 to his sister, without telling me, it shattered more than our savings. It shook the foundation of our partnership. It made me realize that love alone isn't enough. There has to be respect too. And respect means making decisions together, especially when it comes to something as important as money. If this story speaks to you, whether you've faced similar financial betrayals or struggles with money talks in your relationship, know that you're not alone. It's okay to feel hurt, betrayed, or confused. But it's also possible to heal. The path forward starts with openness. Talk to your partner, set clear boundaries. Build a space where both voices are heard and valued. Don't let money become a silent wedge between you. And if you're willing to take that step to demand honesty and respect in your relationship, then you're already on your way to rebuilding trust, one conversation at a time. If you found this story meaningful, subscribe for more real-life stories about love, trust, and the tough truths couples face. Because together, we can learn to protect what matters most, each other.